So the question is, can Guitar Center be saved? The truth is, I don't really know, and I don't think anyone else does either. Over the past few months, Guitar Center has been in the news a lot lately. Most recently, there was an article in Guitar World discussing how they managed to push off some of their debt for another 3 years. Now, the good news is this buys them some time to try to right the ship and get things the direction that they want to go. Of course, that comes at a price, and that price is going to be the interest that they pay on that money for the next 3 years. If you've been following this closely, the CEO that took over this company a few years ago was on Philip McKnight's podcast, and he was discussing some of the changes that he was implementing to try to right the ship of Guitar Center. So I figured what I would do, since I hadn't been to Guitar Center in a while, was make a trip, because I don't live near one anymore, make a trip to a couple of different locations and see if any of the things that he discussed were actually put into practice. So the first thing they discussed was keeping gear accessible to the customer, whether it be pedals or guitars. It's very important that customers are able to walk in and just demo gear as needed. It is the one single advantage they have over Amazon and other online retailers, and that is the ability to walk in off the street and play a guitar and decide whether or not you like it right then and there. To that end, I went to 2 different Guitar Center locations, and both of them I felt did a pretty good job of keeping all of the gear accessible. They had, the top shelf was bare to the point where it was only the most expensive guitars on the top shelf. All the other inventory was moved down, and all of those spots were full. So it wasn't like they had guitars on the top shelf and then they had empty slots beneath where they could put them. It was pretty much all full down below and empty up above. Then they also had pedal stations, and I hadn't seen this on my last trip when I lived down south. I hadn't been to that location in a while, but both the locations near me now, they had a pedal station, which was pretty cool. It was like the ability to plug in and try different pedals in sequence, and you didn't need to get an employee involved to do it. This definitely feels like a step in the right direction. And the other thing I noticed was that they had amps on the floor grouped in little islands in like groups of 5 or 6, and then they had surge protectors running in the middle of each of those islands so that you could plug the amp in and try it and demo it. Again, very important and kind of goes to show you what they're shifting towards. The second thing that was discussed on the podcast was expanding the used section. And I can't tell you how important I think this is, because it is the one reason that I go to Guitar Center above all. I don't really buy a lot of new guitars. I really kind of enjoy a guitar with a story, so I tend to like used instruments. So being able to stroll into a Guitar Center and see all the different instruments they have, it's kind of like the thrill of the hunt for me. I never know what I'm gonna find, and it's the sole reason that I will really pop into Guitar Center on a whim. Both of the locations that I went to had dedicated used sections, and they're getting, at least it feels like, they're getting larger. And I also noticed that they're running an ad campaign on Facebook for buying used gear. And that makes a lot of sense. And they've also improved the way that they're photographing used gear to put online using AI for a better background. Notice that, definitely a big improvement. Now, the third thing they discussed on that podcast was limiting beginner and budget options. And it's pretty clear that they've gone this direction. The very first time I heard about this was probably about 1.5 years ago, maybe a year ago. And I thought they were insane for doing it until I heard the CEO discuss it. And he made some very valid points in the sense that they can't really compete with Amazon and some of the Chinese retailers in this respect. And it makes sense, because if you're buying a $100 guitar or $120 guitar, you don't care if you demo it first. Chances are you're either buying this guitar as someone's first guitar, or you're buying a budget guitar that you're gonna mod and you're gonna set it up yourself. So you don't really care all that much, and you're more than willing to spend that money on Amazon. So it makes complete sense that they would cut down on the number that they have in the store. And in both locations I went to, they had no more than maybe 5 or 6 different instruments. They had a few Squiers, a couple of cheap Epiphones, and really that was it. It was beginner in budget, maybe 5 or 6, and that was all. And another thing that was discussed was having knowledgeable and attentive staff. And on both of my recent visits, the moment that I walked through the door, I was greeted by a Guitar Center employee, and it was like, "Hey, welcome to Guitar Center. What can we help you with today?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm just kind of here to look around. Just want to check out some guitars. Hey, no problem. You need anything, let us know." Great, perfect. That's all I need, right? And in previous trips to Guitar Center years ago, I always kind of felt like I was getting in the way of whatever they were working on at the time, and it was kind of like I was a problem to them. and I never felt this way on the previous 2 trips. So I definitely felt like there was some improvement there. Again, this is the kind of thing that you can't change overnight, and it's going to take some time. And lastly, one of the things that was discussed is having better logistics, and this I can't really speak for. I plan on ordering something either tonight or tomorrow, so I'll keep you guys posted on how long it takes to receive that item. But the big problem that they face is, if you order something from Guitar Center, you're looking at 3 to 5 days shipping, where I can get it on Amazon and have it probably same day, maybe the next day at the latest. So that's going to be a challenge for them going forward to figure out how to get it quicker. And to give them the benefit of the doubt, as I mentioned, I am going to order something tonight, or probably tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know how long it takes to get it. I'll pin a comment on this video and we can go from there. So overall, I definitely feel like there is a culture shift within Guitar Center. I definitely felt walking into these buildings, it was a little different than before. Everything was set up to be accessible. Everything was set up to be demoed. There weren't as many beginner guitars. The staff was more helpful. The place was pretty clean. Both places, both locations that I went to were, I would say they were very clean. And overall, it feels like the Titanic is slowly turning away from the iceberg. The question is, can they get around that iceberg in time? So if you have any questions, by all means, leave them in the comments. I would love to know what your thoughts are and your experience, particularly the more recent experiences that we can go off of to see if any of these changes outside of what I experienced are kind of nationwide. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, and as always, thanks for watching.